We are now starting with non-deterministic finite automata. So non-deterministic finite automata are abbreviated NFA. N is for non-deterministic. And like before, F is for finite and A is for automata. So what are the differences with standard DFAs? Well, in a DFA, given one state and an input symbol, there is a unique choice for the next state. That's what makes it deterministic. With an NFA, we're going to allow for multiple choices. So if I'm in this state, I read symbol 1, I can go here or I can go here. And that's what makes it non-deterministic. We also allow for what is called epsilon transitions. These are transitions that you can follow without reading anything. Here is an example of an NFA. Again, it has a start state and an accept state and transitions, some of which may be epsilon transitions. Here is the intuition of how it computes. We're going to accept a string W if there is a way to follow transitions that ends in accept state. Anyway, there can be more than one way, but if there is at least one way that ends in accept state, then we accept the input. The transitions which are labeled with symbols from the alphabet must be matched with the input. Okay? While the epsilon transitions can be followed without matching. Here is an example. This NFA accepts the string A. How? Well, starting in the start state, I can first follow the epsilon transition without matching anything, and then I go back to the start state, which is also an accept state, by reading A. You also accept B, A. Because you can do a B, you can do an A, then you can do an A, then you can go back here with the epsilon transition, and then you can go back here and accept. Here is another example of an NFA. This NFA accepts BAB. There's two accepting paths, one which has the epsilon transition, okay, so specifically, we can go from the start state, we can follow B, then use the epsilon transition, then do A, and then match another B and accept. This NFA rejects BA. Okay? There are many possible paths, but neither of them has final state Q1. Okay? If I read a B, if I read a B, I can go here, then I can do an epsilon transition, and I can go here, and I can read an A and go here, but there will not be an accept state. I cannot go back to Q1 without matching a B in input, which I don't have. Okay, here is a formal definition of an NFA. Like for a DFA, the NFA is a 5-tuple. Again, Q is a set of finite states. Sigma is the input alphabet. Q0 is a start state, and F is a subset of Q, which is a set of accept states. The main difference is delta, the transition function. Before, delta was mapping what? In a DFA, delta was mapping Q cross sigma to Q. Now there are two main differences. The first one is that we also allow to read, in some sense, an epsilon transition. So we don't just have sigma here, but we allow for epsilon as well, and that's to take into account epsilon transitions. The more substantial difference is that it's not just going to output a state, but it will output a subset of states. Okay, so delta is going to map into the power set of Q, where the power set is a set of all subsets of Q. So for example, what is the power set of 1, 2? Think about it. Well, it's a set of 4 sets. We have the empty set, which is always a subset of any set. And there is the singleton set with 1, the singleton set with 2, and the set containing 1 and 2. Here is an example of an NFA. What is the value of delta Q0, 0? It would be just the set that contains Q0. What about delta Q0, 1? Is a set that contains Q0 and Q1. What about delta Q0 epsilon? Is the empty set. Delta Q1, 0 is the empty set. Delta Q1, 1 empty set. Delta Q1 epsilon is a set containing Q0. Okay, Q0 in Q is a start state, and the set of accept states is just Q1. Okay, note that even if there's only one choice, we still define delta to compute subsets. Okay, so even if it's just one state, we're going to think of it as a singleton set. Okay, so how does this NFA compute? Well, we're going to give a formal definition on when the NFA accepts a string W. Okay, and now we see some use in just writing down the symbols or the WIs. So the NFA accepts a string W if you can write W as W1, W2, WK. Okay, where each WI now is either a symbol or epsilon, the epsilon string. Okay, so K can be larger than the length of W. Okay, and then you can find a sequence of K plus 1 states, R0, R1, Rk in Q, such that the first one is a start state, the last one is an accept state, and next state for a DFA was just the value of delta. Now delta is outputting a subset, so I'm going to say that Ri plus 1 belongs to the set delta Ri Wi plus 1. The differences with DFA are in green. Let's go back to our first example of NFA. We claim that this accepts the string BAAA, and here is how you can prove it here is how you can match the formal definition. Okay, I'm going to write W as W1, W2, W3, W4, W5. Okay, these are 5 symbols. And W4 is epsilon for the epsilon transition. So now I need to give a sequence of 6 states, okay, according to our definition. So R0 is the start state. R1 is what? Try to guess it every time. Is Q1. Okay. Why is Q1? Well, R1 belongs to delta R0B, which is the set Q1. R2 is Q2. Okay, and again, it belongs to delta R1A. R3 is Q0 because it belongs to delta R2A. And R4, okay, R4 is where some of the fun happens. R4 belongs to delta R3 epsilon. Here is where I'm using the epsilon transition, which is just the set Q2. And R5 is Q0. So NFAs are at least as powerful as DFAs, because DFAs are a special case of NFAs. You can just ignore the epsilon transitions, and you can just have don't have multiple labels. Now, natural question is, are NFAs more powerful than DFAs? And surprisingly, they are not. We're going to prove a theorem that says that for every NFA n, you can find a DFA m that computes the same language.